Hey guys, welcome back to Super Science Hub. Today you are going to learn some more important questions from part 3. If you didn't watch yet part 1 and 2, the links are given under description, and also sample paper 1 videos PDF file attached it down in under description. You can download it. If you are watching the first time my channel, please subscribe and encourage us to do more educational videos. In this video, we will continue from question number 27 to 33, which are under section C. Each question carries 3 marks. Total 7 questions will be. Let's move to that one by one. Section C. The first question will be as a 27th question. Complete the following. You can see this here. This is the respiration. Respiration in organisms. In respiration, we know the two types of respirations we have. One is the presence of oxygen is the aerobic respiration, and absence of oxygen is the anaerobic respiration. Here, how the glucose is going to convert or break down and giving us energy. That is the concept. Here, glucose is a 6 molecules, 6 carbon molecule. In cytoplasm, it converts as a 3 carbon molecules. This process, I think you know that what is this called? Glycolysis, isn't it? Glycolysis will take place in cytoplasm of any organism. After that, this pyruvate will enter to the mitochondria only in the aerobic respiration. The organisms which are going to undergo aerobic respiration, in that case only pyruvate goes to mitochondria, and here breakdown of pyruvate and gives energy along with the production of carbon dioxide. Then anaerobic respiration, when here there is no oxygen, that's why here there is a formation of alcohol, means especially ethanol, and carbon dioxide and energy. So we have to write what is A, B, C. What are the products, what are the byproducts in this processes. Here one more concept is that there is a lack of oxygen. Of course, in organisms which are comes under category of aerobic respiration. Okay, there the lack of oxygen, due to lack of oxygen, they undergoes anaerobic respiration, especially in muscle cells. When this will happen? Whenever when we do vigorous exercises or like running, jogging, that time we need a lot of energy. No, this by the process we cannot get a sufficient energy. Means at that time the energy is not sufficient to us. We need more and more energy. That time muscle cells are going to undergo in anaerobic respiration. Let's see the what all the byproducts are given here for the aerobic respiration. Okay, in presence of oxygen, lack of oxygen, and absence of oxygen. The first case is the ethanol, carbon dioxide, and energy. The A is absence of oxygen, ethanol, carbon dioxide, and energy will form. Understood? In yeast. Next one, B is lactic acid and energy. In lack of oxygen in muscle cells, lactic acid and energy will produce. Next, C. In presence of oxygen in mitochondria, carbon dioxide, water, and energy will form. This is the what's that? You have to fill. Move to the next question. A group of students looked at different metals and metal sulfate solutions given as follows. From the given data, answer the following. Yeah, this is the data given in the table. These all are the metals: magnesium, chromium, copper, cobalt, and metal sulfates. The corresponding metal sulfate: magnesium, magnesium sulfate, chromium, chromium sulfate, copper sulfate, cobalt sulfate. The color of the each sulfate is given. Okay, a colorless and green in color, blue color, and pink color. Here, the questions are given. We have to answer for them. Which metal react with all other sulfate? Which metal react with all the other sulfate? which metal is very reactive, that is going to react with all the metals. No, so magnesium is a very reactive metal. If you can see in the reactivity series of the electrochemical series, you can understand that in the top will be chromium will be in a top position. So magnesium is a highly reactive metal. This is going to react any solution. This all the solutions are can react with the magnesium. Next, after that, what's the second question? Which metal did not react with any other metal sulfate solution? Yes, we know the copper is a least reactive metal, which are given here. Copper is the least reactive. That's why copper cannot react with any other metal sulfate. Next, arrange the metals in a decreasing order of reactivity. What is the decreasing order of reactivity? Means you have to write highly reactive first, then go for the least reactive metal, isn't it? In that way you have to. So magnesium will be the first case and copper will be the last case. Okay, see the answer once. Magnesium, A is the magnesium, B is the copper. Decreasing order will be the magnesium is greater than, chromium greater than, cobalt greater than copper. This is the least reactive metal. Understood? Move to the next question. Yes. On heating blue colored powder of copper to nitrate in a boiling tube, copper oxide, oxygen gas, and brown gas are formed. Okay, if you take a copper nitrate in a boiling test tube, you have to heat that. Once you heat it, the test tube will convert as like a produce in the test tube. Copper oxide will be formation of copper oxide, oxygen gas. Along with that, there will be one brown color gas formed in the test tube. Okay, means whenever it you are heating. Now look the questions. What all we have to answer? Write a balanced chemical equation of the reaction. The complete reaction we have to write it and balance also. Identify the brown gas X evolved. Which brown gas evolved? We have to find it. Identify the type of reaction. And what could be the pH range of the aqueous solution of the gas evolved? X is there, no? That one. Now we'll see the equation. The copper 2 nitrate decomposes when heated to form the following products. Here, when you heat it, mostly you know that when you give the heat energy or light energy or electricity, the compound or a salt solution or the compound is going to decompose. Here also the thing is happened the same way. Same way you can see a balanced chemical equation. Here you are going to heat it. You have to keep a triangle, or if you can write heat on the arrow mark, no problem. Copper nitrate CuNO3 taken twice decompose to form copper oxide, already given in the question also, which is the black color copper oxide, and oxygen gas also given in the question. Next, 4NO2. This is the gas what evolved. X is the gas, nitrogen dioxide. It is the brown color gas. Brown color gas. So nitrogen dioxide and nitrogen 2 oxide. So what is the brown gas? X is the nitrogen oxide gas. And type of the reaction. Second question is the type of reaction. Which reaction is it? It is the decomposition reaction. Compound is fragmented, means is dividing into 2 or more substances. That is called as a decomposition reaction. Here the type of reaction is a decomposition reaction. After that, what is the pH range of a gas? pH range of gas. Gas cannot give the pH value, no? That when you dissolve in a water, mean in the aqueous solution, easily we will get it NO2. When mixed with the water, then it form as a HNO3. You know that nitric acid, HNO3. The HNO3 is acidic in nature. Of course, the gas which is formed is also acidic in nature. Non-metallic oxides. One more concept you have under metals and non-metals. I hope you remember. Non-metallic oxides, all are the acidic oxides. Non-metallic oxides. Nitrogen is a non-metal oxide. Non-metallic oxides are acidic in nature. Metallic oxides all are basic in nature. Remember, this is also important point. For many ways, you are going to get benefit from this matter. Okay, this is the for 29th question. 29th question. Let's move on to the next question. Two elements P and Q belong to the same period of the modern periodic table and are in group 1 and group 2 respectively. Compare their following characteristics in tabular form. A. The number of valence electrons in their atoms, the size of their atoms, their metallic character, formula of their oxides. Now see, these both belongs to same period and group 1 and group 2. Valence electrons, how many valence electrons will be? Group 1, you know that in a periodic table, we learned that group number is equal to valence electrons. Okay, valence electrons, especially for the group 1 and group 2. How many valence electrons in the group 1? Of course, 1 only. In a group 2, there will be 2. Okay, understood, right? Next, go to the size of, but here one more thing, the group number is equal to valence electrons or the valency. Here, not if you can move to the from 13th to 18th group, there will be a slight change with the group number and valence electrons. From 13th to 18th, what is the concept you have to follow? Group number is equal to 10 minus group number is equal to, we will get 10 minus valence electrons. Or you want group valence electrons means group number plus 10. This is the way you can remember any group element valence electrons, you will get it. Group number, if you want, with the help of a valence electrons, we will get 10 plus valence electrons. Then valence electrons mean group number minus, one second, yeah, a slight difference here. Yeah, group number minus 10. Okay, this is the way to remember. Group number is equal to 10 plus valence electrons, we will get the group number. If we know the valence electrons, you have to do group number minus 10. Okay, whatever you wanted to find, either valence electrons or group, one you know, another one easily you can guess it. Okay, this is the formula. Now we will move to the questions which is going to helpful for us. Here, the size of their atoms. We have to compare both group 1 and group 2. And of course, in a periodic trends, the size always increase from top to bottom in a groups, and left to right in periods will decrease. So first group will be more a bigger one than the second group elements. Next, metallic character. Metallic character also from top to bottom will increase, and from left to right in periods will decrease. So first group element P has going to be more metallic than the group 2, as a that is nothing but the Q. Then formula of their oxides. Always the first group elements valence is 1. So oxygen valence is 2. When you crisscross it, you will get P2O, first group elements. Then second group elements valence is 2, oxygen also 2. So it will be QO. Both valences will get cancelled, no, 2. This is the criteria what you have to understand it. Let's see the answer. Yeah, comparatively in a table column we have written here the number of valence electrons, 1 in the atomic P and atomic 2 atom Q2. Size of their atoms are comparatively bigger than the Q, comparatively smaller than the P. And metallic character, always strong metallic character than the Q. P will be the more metallic. and Q is the less metallic compared to P, not a full the periodic table. Formula of their oxides, P2O and Q will be QO. Understood? Let's move on to the next question. This is the internal choice for the previous question. And an element E has following electronic configuration KLM as a 286. 286 is the electronic configuration. To which group of the periodic table does element E belongs to? Element E belongs to which period? You can see the periodic table. In a periodic table, always the which group they're asking? Which group they are asking? Yeah. Which group of the periodic table does E belongs to? Which group will be? Here, electrons, you can see valence electrons are 6. Did you remember the concept, what we have studied the previous slide? Look, valence electrons 6. Valence electrons 6. Okay. So group number we don't know. Group number is equal to 10 plus valence electrons, isn't it? So group number is equal to 10 plus valence electrons. Group number will be 16 because of 6 valence electrons. Understood? So the first question is 16th group number. Second one, to which period of the periodic table does element E belongs to? Which period it will be? Here also, first shell, K shell. K shell, shell is a 1, all are first period. Second shell, L shell, shell number 2, all the electrons are going to enter into the second shell. In this second period, from the first element to till the last element, all the electrons will be accommodated in the second shell only. So they all are the second period. From where to where is the second period? You can see lithium to neon. Means this is a 3 and it is a 10. This all the elements comes under the second period. And first period will be the hydrogen and helium. Hydrogen to helium 1 and 2. Next, third period means electrons are going to enter to the third shell. Like is a M shell. M shell. Number 3, shell number 3 or energy level 3, electrons are entering. So period number 3. Understood? Here you can see take a sodium to till argon. Okay. Here energy shell, K is the first period, L is the second period, M is the third period. So electrons are in the third energy level. So which period it belongs to? It belongs to third period. Next, state the number of valence electrons present in the element A. Oh, of course, the valence electrons are nothing but which are present in the valence cell. Okay, valence electrons are present in the valence cell, which is outermost shell. State the valency of the element E. Yes, valency of element E. Here, one more formula you have to remember. If the valence electrons are valency is equal to valence electrons. Till where if the valence electrons are less than or equal to 4, always the valence is equal to the same number as valence electrons. If the valence electrons are greater than or equal to 4, we have to subtract valence electrons from 8, then we will get the valency. Here you can see how many valence electrons are there? 6 are there. So greater than 4, no? So valency is equal to 8 minus 6. So it will be 2. Understood? 2 is the valency of a element. 2 is the valency of element. E element. They are giving that as a E, no? Understood? This is the way how to identify the valency, how to identify the valence electrons and group number. I hope you understood this. You practice in this manner many questions. Okay. Let's see the answer. We will see in the next slide the answer. Yeah, you can see the first A question answer. Group number 16, period number 3, valence electrons 6, valency 2. That what I had explained now. You see B question. Question B. Choose from the following: C6O8, N neon 10, Ne10, sodium 11, silicon 14, hydrogen 1. From this, number 1, elements that should be in the same period, and elements that should be in the same group. Yeah, same concept you can use here, what you understood now. Here carbon is a 6. So what will be the valency? Valency will be 2, 4. Oxygen will be 2, 6. Neon will be 2, 8. Sodium will be 2, 8, 1. And silicon is 2, 8, 4. And hydrogen is 1. Is a first shell is a K shell, L shell, second shell. This is also second shell. Oh, this is the third shell. We are not going. This is also third shell. This is the first shell. Okay, first shell. But here these three are the second shell. L shell. Okay, so this all are belongs to second period, isn't it? Second period. So which element should be in the same period? Same period will be carbon, oxygen, and neon. Okay, next go to the second one. Elements that should be in the same group. Yeah, how we will take the group? We can take according to the valence electrons, no? Valence electrons. Here, what is the valency of a sodium? Valence of a sodium? 1, isn't it? Valence of sodium, easily you can see here, it is a 1. And here, valence is a 4. Oh, this is not the first group. Then here, valence is a 1. So it is a first group. Valence here you can see 0 valence electrons, you can also check. Then here 6, then here is a 4. Okay, these all are not in the same group. Only here both sodium and hydrogen has same number of valence electrons, or of course the valence also will be the same. That's why this sodium and hydrogen are going to be in the same group. Let's see the answer. Yeah, you can see the B1. Electron configurations already given for your better understanding. Elements of same period, C6, O8 and Ne. That is the second period. Because of the second shell, the electrons are present. Valence electrons are present. Next, number 2, elements of the same group, sodium 11, hydrogen 1. Because all are having the same valence electrons. That is the first group. Understood? Let's move to the next question. Draw a well-labeled diagram of female reproductive system and mention its parts. Here, these all the following parts what you are going to mention. Those are which produces an egg, where fertilization takes place, where the fertilized egg or the zygote implanted. Here, you have to draw the diagram properly. And label this. See the diagram? Yeah, this is the diagram. You have to draw neatly and label. Here, actually, these 3 parts are enough to label, because in the question they have given clearly that where the eggs are released. You know that we have in a female body, have a pair of ovaries where the egg cells or ovules will get produced. And where the fertilization will be in a fallopian tube. These are the ovaries, and when the egg cells or the ovules will enter to the tube-like structure that is called as a fallopian tube. Here the fertilization will take place. In a fallopian tube, and after that some divisions will take place, and when it convert as like embryo and zygote used to come and implant at the walls of the uterus, right? The walls of the uterus. So this is the uterus is the correct one, where the implantation of a zygote will take place. Okay, these 3 parts are you have to mention clearly, and this is the optional. To mention. Okay, to write or not, that's according to your wish. Especially these 3 parts are very important, because as they have given in the question to mention. Okay, draw it neatly. Practice twice or thrice to do that. Okay, let's move to the another question. Draw a ray diagram to show the path of the reflected ray in each of the following cases. A ray of light incident on a convex mirror. Yes, here three cases are given. Three cases are given. Each case you have to draw a ray diagram. Incident ray they given. Incident ray, how to pass they have given. According to that you have to draw. You see the first one, everywhere the incident ray or the ray of light is passing. The first case is strikes at its pole, making an angle from the principal axis. I hope you all are aware about standard ray diagrams, isn't it? Standard incident rays. We have the four rules. Those are, the first rule is if the incident ray is parallel to the principal axis, then that reflected ray pass through the focus. The second rule is if the incident ray passes through the focus, that will be parallel to the principal axis. Reflected ray will be parallel to the principal axis. Third rule is if the incident ray is passing through the center of curvature, of course the reflected ray also will pass through the center of curvature only. Then fourth rule is obliquely, means with a certain angle, or the obliquely if the incident ray is passing with respect of pole, with the same angle, it will get reflect. These are the four standard incident rays we have. If you didn't practice them, practice again. Those are very, very helpful to draw the ray diagrams, not only in the case of mirror, even in lens also. Now you see, the first case is given, strikes at its pole, making an angle. Yes, this is the incident ray. It is passing as a obliquely with a certain angle. So with the same angle, reflected ray also will reflect with the same angle. This is the fourth case. You can see here the fourth case what I told. This is the way. One is very easy. All of the incident rays only they have given. After that, the second case is directed towards its principal focus. Okay, means here through the incident ray is passing through the principal focus. Of course, it is a convex mirror. We used to extend the line like this. Okay, then reflected ray will be parallel to the principal axis, isn't it? So you can see it is a parallel to the principal axis. The second case. Next, third one is it is parallel to its principal axis. Incident ray is parallel to the principal axis. So it is the incident ray parallel. If the parallel means that reflected ray should pass through the focus. That is the first rule. Okay, can you see here? Of course, the convex lens behind the mirror, the image used to form. That's why we have to extend it. We will get this reflected ray. Okay. The parallel reflected ray will be passing through the focus. Understood? These are the standard rules you have to remember, and very easy if they can give like this question. They didn't ask anything like draw the how the image will be, what is the nature of image, they didn't give. Okay, yeah, let's I hope you understood this. We'll move to the another one, which is internal choice for this question. Yes, draw a diagram to show the refraction of light through a glass prism. On this diagram, mark incident ray, emergent ray, angle of deviation. Yes, you know that prism, how the refraction will be. The diagram, you have to draw it. You can see through the prism how the refraction will be. Okay. You can see here, especially practice and also mention incident ray of incident, and you have to draw the emergent ray which is coming out of the prism. Okay, and some angles. Understood? Then we'll move to the B question. What is rainbow? What are two conditions necessary for the formation of rainbow in the sky? Yes, same, each and every water drop is going to act as a prism. So the same manner, there will be an incident ray, means through the water drop or a raindrop, light passes. Inside that there are the many internal reflections will be, and what from out of the water drop, ray will come out, means the dispersion will take place. You can see here, rainbow is an arch of 7 colors visible in the sky, which is produced by the dispersion of sun's light by raindrops in the atmosphere. Okay. And also they are asking here, what are the two conditions necessary for the formation of rainbow in the sky? What are the two necessary conditions? Those are, one should be, like rainbow is formed in the sky when the sun is shining and it is raining at the same time. There should be a sunlight and also rainy. There will be a rainy time and raindrop should be. In these two conditions will be, then only the rainbow will form. Okay, the concept, you know that. First, inside the raindrop there will be a what is that, light will enter, and all many internally there will be a internal reflections and refraction. First refraction will be, then internal reflections will be, then after that whenever it coming out as a dispersion, dispersion gives a 7 colors to visible. Understood? This is the concept for under how the rainbow will form. Understood? Move to the next question. This is the last question. At which trophic level a person is feeding when he is eating? Yes, these are the what is that? Trophic levels are given here. You know that the 4 trophic levels we have: pyramid, ecological pyramid. This is the trophic 1, 2, 3, 4. All these are the producers. These are the primary consumers. These are the secondary consumers. These are the tertiary consumers. Okay. Now see, if the human being, if a person is eating chicken, roasted chicken, okay, that then the human being is going to fall in the trophic level 3. Why trophic level 3 he is going to fall? Because he is the secondary consumer here. Trophic level 3. Okay. Next, if he is eating a bread in the sense, all are the what is that? You can see all or the what we can say, the producers, from the producers in the plant parts only, no, all the vegetable plant parts only, right? That's why the bread, if the person is eating bread, he is going to fall into the second trophic level, because of this all are the primary consumers which are depend on producers only. Then if he is eating the eggs, that is going to be a third trophic level. The person is going to depend on the primary consumers. Next, apples. Of course, apples also second trophic level, because of the person is going to depend on the producers. Apple, vegetable, fruit, no, plants are going to produce. Then if the person is eating fish, he comes under the third trophic level, because of it is the tertiary consumers. So he is depend on the secondary consumers. Okay. So fourth trophic level. You can see the answers again here. Always, if the person is eating roasted chicken, third trophic level; bread, second trophic level; eggs, third trophic level; apple, second trophic level; fish, fourth trophic level. Understood? Then move to the next question. Internal choice for this question. This is the A question. We'll move to the B question. Here, what are trophic levels? Give an example of a food chain and state the different trophic levels. This is the internal choice for the 30th question. 33 question. 33 question, internal choice. A, what are trophic levels? Give an example of a food chain and state the different trophic levels in it. Yes, trophic levels are nothing but which are sequentially arranged all the food chain. The distinct sequential steps in food chain where transfer of energy occurs, are called as a trophic levels. Next, give an example for food chain and state the different trophic levels. If here you have to take one food chain, any food chain, then mention the trophic levels. That's it. Here you can see that this is the one food chain, grassland food chain. You can take grassland food chain. I have taken. Even if you want aquatic or desert or forest, whatever you want, you can take. Here producers, then primary consumers. Here clearly marked the primary consumers, which are in the trophic level 1. This is the trophic level 1, these are the trophic level 2, and secondary consumers will be trophic level 3, and tertiary consumers trophic level 4, and these two are in the trophic level 4 only. Okay, because of this also will depend on this, and even this also depend on that. These two are the carnivores and depend on the secondary consumers. Okay, this is the food chain, and to mention along with this food chain, we have to mention the trophic levels. Okay, let's move to the B question. In this question only B, because here not fit properly. That's why I kept in the another slide. B, look at the following figure. Choose the correct one and give reason for your answer. Yes, these are the what's the trophic levels? No, trophic level pyramids. Which is the correct one? This is the inverted ecological pyramid. You didn't study yet. In higher classes, you will study about them. You don't worry. This is the first figure. Already you have studied in a 10th standard, isn't it? A is the correct one. In an ecosystem, the number of individuals at a producer level is maximum. That's why it is showing a more, no? Maximum. Producers will be more, no? Then only we can survive. Otherwise, if the producers are very less, there will be no energy transformation properly. So this is the T1, more producers, number will be more, maximum level will be, and this is the number reduces at each successive level. Therefore, the shape is a pyramid with broad base and tapering apex. Okay, always the base will be broad and the apex will be a narrow one. Okay, tapering apex. This is the concept. Due to this reason, figure A is the correct one. On an average, 10% of food changes into body mass and is available for the next level consumers. This is the extra point you can add. Because of if you are very small, like here producers mean 10% energy is going to transfer, 10%. From where these producers are getting energy to fulfill this needs of this? Can't fulfill, no? That is the given here. Okay, that's why always it is a pyramidal shape, base as a broad. Understood? This is the 33 question, total 7 questions with internal choice I have given. I hope you understood clearly. In the next video from question number 34 to 36, we have only 3 questions which are 5 marks questions under section D. We will discuss in the next video. Okay, keep watching and please subscribe and press bell icon. You will get the notification when I will introduce the next video for the continuity of this sample paper. Thank you so much for your watching. Have a good day ahead.